Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Symphony. Symphony Entertainment Gaming and Arts is a gaming company that focuses on horror systems, indie games, organic content, and player agency to bring a symphonic approach to horror role-playing. I'm your host, Carl, and this evening we're going to be playing Friends of Dorothy for 7th edition Call of Cthulhu, written, run, and published by Rina Haenze. We have two announcements today. First, we're hosting a giveaway. We're giving away two free PDF copies of this content, Friends of Dorothy, currently published on the Miskatonic repository. To enter, you have to be a follower of the channel. Just enter !Dorothy for a chance to enter. We'll host the giveaway at the end of the stream if you can't stay. If you can't stay for the entire stream, Bridgett will try and whisper you on Twitch to notify you. We only have one announcement tonight. Symphony Entertainment has a Patreon. If you like this content and would like to help us create more, please back Symphony on Patreon. You can check us out at patreon.com/Symphony Entertainment. Content warnings have been discussed with the cast and crew. Please note that content warnings for this stream include queerphobia, however, with no slurs or dead naming, isolation, and darkness. The X card is in play. X's can be sent via private message with no judgment passed and no questions asked. We will also be using the green, yellow, red traffic light method, which can be called by any cast member at any time. So without further ado, let's unveil the cast. Cast members, please introduce yourselves, tell us where to find you, and some of the things that you do. And we'll start with Nate.
Oh, that's right. I'm first. Hey, I'm Nate. I'm your friend Nate on various Discords all over the place, playing run games on a few of those different servers in the community. You can check out my ongoing Delta Green Impossible Landscapes campaign. That's over on the Old Ways server. I'm playing a government agent who is having a really bad time of it. And if you've ever played or heard of Impossible Landscapes, it's not surprising at all. I also like a lot of other sort of modern takes on role-playing games. Play some public access and any of the modern Call of Cthulhu scenarios that I can get my hands on. But otherwise, very excited to play this. Very honored to be invited to play this by Rina, who's one of my favorite authors and one of the favorite people I get to play games with sometimes. So thank you, Rina.
All right. Next, we are going to ValyGirl Heather.
Hi, everybody. I am Heather Ashcraft, otherwise known as ValyGirl Heather on pretty much all the socials, especially all the Discords, except for that one with the single letter, because that's a dumpster fire and we don't go there. That's the dark place. And that's not a dark place we go to. I am a TTRPG and live action event writer, storyteller, and organizer. I have added actual play actor, and just as of Saturday, added actual play keeper to my repertoire. And a number of the various groups, the Old Ways podcast, where I am currently part of the RuneQuest Glorantha 6 Seasons in Sartar campaign that's ongoing. Miskatonic Playhouse here on Symphony, as well as a couple of other companies like Trollord Games and their Castles and Crusades. And I am a founding member of a brand new group. We are debuting as of the end of next month. So right around Halloween, keep your eyes open for a new group called Lightless Beacons. We will be bringing you more fantastic Cthulhu content from there. I love long romantic walks to the fridge, and it's kind of a love-hate relationship with my two cats as they try to smother me in the mornings to make sure I'm awake to feed them. But that's all about me. Let's move on to the next.
And that would be Evan.
Hi, I'm Evan Perlman. I do not have my own streaming concern because I have two children and a dog, but I do a lot of writing for the Miskatonic repository. I like to do that in concert with other people, such as this project in Strange Seas, which fucking this camera. All right, well, it's blurry, but you can imagine what it looks like. That it's Mythos versus the British Navy in Regency era. Have put out a number of other things on the repository, different supplements, different improv scenario guides. The scenario Dream House, which is a spiritual sequel to the classic scenario The Haunting. I really like working with people. I'm involved in many group projects now. One of which involves the fantastic Rina, about whom more shortly. And if you want to find me, I am on Blue Sky. I am on the Symphony Discord. I'm involved in the Miskatonic Repository Convention, which is going to be October 4th to the 6th. Yep. And you can still sign up to play games and join us there. And that's it. I'm excited. It's going to be good.
Cool. Rina.
Hey y'all, I am Keeper Rina. My pronouns are they, them, and I am very excited to be running this game for y'all tonight. I am a Miskatonic repository creator. I have 9 scenarios, including this one. Friends of Dorothy just came out this month. Thanks to all of you who have purchased it so far and played it and or run it. But you can also find my gold bestseller, Saturday the 14th, the slasher follow-up homage to classic slasher movies. Click Clack, which is classic 1920s involving penny dreadfuls, and a whole bunch of other scenarios. I really love writing. I spend most of my time doing it. I have another 4 scenarios in the works, so we'll see what comes next, which one makes it to the publish line first. You can also find me on the Old Ways podcast, where I am the head of Mythos. I run a lot of Call of Cthulhu, Cthulhu Dark, and various other Mythos-related shenanigans. I am also on our, well, it used to be Coriolis, but now it's Cipher System game as Tamarisk and Vari in our space game. And there's some other treats and delights coming there soon. You can also find me on Ain't Slayed Nobody on the Down Darker Trails campaign, where I play Patience Cartwright. And I pop up in various other places, inevitably, including the Miskatonic Playhouse, and here on Symphony, RX Oliver, a few other places, How We Roll. And you can find me on Discord as the Inevitable Rina. I'm pretty much everywhere, it seems, so I've been told. And I'm not on X, but I am on Blue Sky as the Inevitable Rina, and also on Instagram, where I mostly post pictures of my cat and talk about my writing. So thank you all for joining us.
And last and least most, I am Carl. I can usually be found to be haunting the back alleys of the production Discord for Symphony. I make most of our digital assets, and I also occasionally roll out some games here that apparently break people's hearts. So I genuinely enjoy this. I'm really glad I got introduced to this group of folks, and I am looking forward to this game immensely. And with that, I will turn it over to our keeper.
All right, everyone. Thank you all for joining us for Friends of Dorothy. The scenario is set in June of 1981. This scenario, as was mentioned at the beginning, does involve queerphobia. There will be no slurs used, there will be no dead naming, but queerphobia itself does feature in the scenario, so please be aware of that. My cast is aware, we have discussed this before, and they're all aware that they can pull the X card as well if they need to. But let us now begin. It is June 1981. It is a breezy but very warm Saturday night. And you are headed to a little bar, a queer bar, an underground, quote unquote, bar called the Emerald Lounge. It is in the back of another bar that acts as a front for it called the Midas Touch. It's a couple hours away for you, some of you further, some of you longer. It's a place where you know you can go, where no one will recognize you other than the people you've met at the bar before. It's a place where you don't have to worry about being outed. It's a place where you can feel free to be your queer, authentic self for a few hours. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to get there, or the fact that you'll have to wake up early when you get home the next morning. You can be yourself in this little place. You are all members of the US military from different branches. You can't go to queer bars in town where you're stationed, because in this time, before Don't Ask, Don't Tell, if you're found, you get kicked out. No questions asked. You lose everything. Everything. And so you've selected this little bar in the middle of nowhere. And tonight is a night where you can let loose and just exist. So I'd like to start by introducing our characters, and as we introduce each character, I'm going to ask you a question or two about your queer experience so we can understand you a little bit more about who you are and how your queerness affects your life. So I'd like to start with Hannah. So Evan, introduce us to Hannah, please.
Sure. Hannah is a cook in the army. She is 24 years old. She is a lesbian woman, and she is away from the small town that she grew up in, where it was impossible to be herself. She is constantly trying to balance this sort of sense of optimism, sometimes cheerfulness, sometimes not, with the reality that, she's standing on a very narrow bridge life-wise. Um, she went into the army to, sort of get herself straightened out, I guess. Didn't quite work out that way. That sort of was a moment of realization that, oh, okay, I like how women look in their uniforms. That's something to note. And yeah, and it grew from there. And so having this place is, maybe not a permanent safety, but every moment there is valuable.
So, Hannah, who is the person in your unit, your specific army unit, who you trust with your sexuality, and why do you trust them?
Um, I think probably Janice, if Janice is in the army. Yep. No,
Okay.
not in the army. That's all right. Well, we'll figure it out.
Maybe.
Navy. Okay.
Not
Sorry.
one of the
Oh, not
other
one of these.
people at
Not
the
one of the.
bar.
Sorry.
Someone
Sorry.
someone you know at work who you've come out to and you've
Oh.
entrusted with your secret.
Okay. So, not having, she recognizes that this is maybe a little of a newbie kind of a thing to do, but not having a safe person to come out to. She nailed the vibe right and came out to Helena Bernardi, and they've sort of started dating, partly because this was the first person that she really felt she could trust. And she's kind of glossing over some potentially significant hiccups in the relationship because she does not want to let go of that trust and safety and the feeling that she can make it work out.
So you came out to Helena, who you serve with, but you still have to hide who you are at
Mhm.
work. What is the hardest part of hiding yourself in your job?
The hardest part is that I don't know how to act around the men in the unit.
Mm.
I don't want to, there's a pressure in the army to be, sort of masculine and butch all the time, right? You don't want to be girly because the men will give you shit for it. But that's not really how I feel. And so, and then there's the added layer of, how do you navigate your romantic and personal relationships, trying to
Mhm.
figure out how to express yourself that way.
Wonderful. It must be very difficult
Yeah, it
being so
sucks. I mean, no,
yeah,
actually, it's so we'll figure it out. It's
you'll
fine.
figure it out. Good thing you have Helena.
Yeah.
All right. Uh, next we'll move to Janice.
Hey, Janice Schmidt. The Janice is sort of in my head. Um, it's Janice. That's how it's pronounced, or that's how it's spelled. So that's how it's pronounced by almost everyone. But in my head, I started correcting it to Janice about 10 years ago, about the same time that I first encountered not someone I knew, but encountered someone in a book that referred to themselves as they instead of she or he, and it started to unwind this, I guess, this frustration, this confusion, this anxiety around, just this never felt right, but it never also felt worth bringing up and challenging. So I'm just going to keep it quiet. So, yeah, Janice,
Mm.
corpsman in the Navy. I'm a medic. And where I'm stationed, there is a lot of drill, practice, routine. We're getting constantly ready for deployments. And so I do a lot of training. I do a lot of education. I do a lot of, I'm old, 32. So one of the ancients in the armed forces, especially given I'm going to say the rank that I am still at, not the rank that I've earned, the
Mhm.
rank that I'm still at. Um, yeah.
So you mentioned the rank that you're still at. Do you think there's some kind of internalized queerphobia or potentially going on? Do people sense something about you at work? Do you act differently? Do you have trouble containing this understanding of who you are?
I I'm gonna say honestly no, because it is constant and it has been constant since I've been a teenager.
Mhm.
But I can't I can't go all the way. I can't switch all the way to take part in sort of the traditional camaraderie, the 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 tribalism that
Mhm.
exists. Um, I don't like to I don't like to make fun of folks the way that we do. I don't like the nicknames that we give
Mhm.
folks the way that we do. I don't like to go out and hang out in the same way, the way that we do. All these things that I'm not comfortable doing. And I think it shows. I think my commanding
Mhm.
officers, I think my superiors, I think my uh, people in my unit, um, they don't, I've never really had direct confrontation or direct challenge, but
Mhm.
I do know that passed over and over. And can't I can't not think that that's it. No matter what, that's part of the terribleness of it is no matter what happens, there's part of me that always first thinks, well, it's because someone knows. And then
Mhm.
I have to really evaluate that and decide, well, is that true? And try and even if it's true, what can I do about that? So I mean, it's 1981. What can I do about that? And
Mhm.
so I got to get over it. It's up to me. It's my problem. Um, Vanna, Vanna, my roommate, we live together. Of course, I have a roommate because it's expensive, rent's tough. So, but I did find Van. She's a civilian. She's a civilian employee. Works same base at me as me, and that helps a lot to have someone else to talk about or talk about the experiences and talk to the experiences. I feel like she is pushing me to get out of the service. I think it's better as a civilian contractor. There's not so and Jesus, I'm constantly I'm getting some seniority. I'm constantly worried that someone's going to find out. I'm going to get booted out
Mhm.
because I'm going to accidentally tell. No one's supposed to ask, but I'm going to accidentally tell, and then I lost everything that I've been building for the last 10, 15 years. So if I can make it to some kind of retirement or some kind of dismissal with some kind of benefits,
Mhm.
about the best I can hope for.
Here's hoping one day for Janice. Right. Michael.
So Kowalski is of fairly average height, dark hair, dark eyes. One of the things that you notice about him is he is basically constantly like absolutely perfect. Like he will fit military regulations to an absolute T. At any given point of the day, he looks like he stepped out of a recruiting poster. Um, he has he's a gay man. He has spent his life in the military, leaning into the popular image of an airman and a fighter jock, partly because it is excellent cover. If something is expected of you and you can meet people's expectations of that, they generally don't dig too much farther. Beyond that, it's because the only place he feels truly comfortable is when he's alone in the cockpit, or with the person he's currently with. I think his closest friend in the service is one of the other guys in his unit, Jim Pendleton. He has Jim is a little bit uncomfortable knowing that Michael is gay, but as a result, he's been kind of an unintentionally good ally. He meant the Pendleton, Jim managed to clock Michael because he realized they went out enough that he realized he was always being seen very publicly talking to women and doing everything you could possibly think of, drinking loudly, being as machismo, showing as much outward machismo as possible. But he never, like, over months and months and months, Jim finally realized that Mike never took anybody home. And he kind of figured it out. They haven't had that discussion, but it's one of those, Mike knows that Jim knows, and Jim knows that Mike knows that that Jim knows. So we don't need to talk about it, because if we talk about it too much, they might not let either of us back in the cockpit of an F-15.
So Jim knows, Jim figured it out, but the problem is, Mike, someone else recently figured out that you were gay, and they threatened to expose you. What did you do in that situation? How did you handle it?
I used the popularity that I have in the unit to bully them into backing down. I've been around for longer. I have more friends in the unit, and I invented an excuse, and the guys in the unit had my back. It wasn't why we did it, but I was the only one who knew why we did it. That and Jim.
So you're safe for the moment, you think?
Yeah, it wasn't a good solution. It wasn't a righteous solution. It wasn't a moral solution, but it was the only thing he could think of at the time.
Makes sense. Thea, introduce yourself.
Ensign Thea Banks has always known who she is. She is the youngest of three, but it was two older sisters, which allowed Thea to explore when their dad was deployed or busy, which she almost constantly was. Father and grandfather, the whole family has a lineage of military service to the country, and being raised in that environment, it was almost inevitable that Thea would go in to the service at some point. But that also clashed with who Thea knew she was. And that led to some very self-destructive behavior getting out of high school. There was a thought that she would enter the service right away. Father was expecting that, and because of that, there was the constant back and forth until Thea finally left the house, just packed up and left to go find herself and be who she was. But when when the family came under tough times and circumstances the way they were in the late 70s, the difficulty with money and finding jobs in the recessions, she opted to take one for the team and help promised her father that she would carry on the family legacy. So against who she was and with against pretty much every fiber of her being, she pushed everything down and entered the service, put that mask and acted that part that was expected of her to do so. Allowing and basically biting her tongue till it bled over and over, being dead named over and over again. But to do it for the good of the family, and because she had been brought up with that sense of service and responsibility and carrying on the family legacy. And for the first time, getting that acceptance, even dare she say, the look of respect in her father's eyes at her. It only took her denying everything and everybody, every part of herself and playing the part that was expected of her. But she did it, and she continues to do it.
Does anyone in Thea's family know or suspect that Thea is trans?
Her, not the oldest sister, but the second sister. So being the baby of the family. So the middle child came home early one day with finding Thea, let's just say, in the glittery bell bottoms and the wonderful tied top and the wedge heels, testing out the new makeup and that the sister had just purchased, and looking damn fine with it too. Thank you. It was quite more my color than hers, but that started a conversation. And the middle sister initially started as a bribe, like, I won't tell dad if you do XYZ for me. But over time, that many years, that kind of became something they bonded over, and they found themselves going to each other more when things got bad, especially when that sister had a not so nice boyfriend, and Thea made sure that boyfriend was never going to come around again.
So you've all managed to leave those things behind for the moment. The terror of your father, the dead naming, the being outed potentially, the being forced into a box. And the military in particular is very much about boxes, even more so than your lives before. But you've managed to step out of those boxes for the night, and you have arrived at the Emerald Lounge. You made your way through the Midas Touch, the bar at the front, which was loud and full of music and people chatting and drinking, some very, very loud drinking going on. Nobody really noticed you as you slipped through, made your way to the back, gave the password Rumpelstiltskin to the man at the door. You went down a flight of steps into the basement area where a second bar has been set up. The Emerald Lounge is cozy. It has to be. by its very nature. This isn't one of the bars that is as out front and open with being a queer bar as some of the other places you might have been, but that's why you like it, because you're less likely to be found here. You're less likely to be outed here. It is crowded. There are plenty of people here. There are a multitude of couples dancing in the middle of the floor. Tables have been pushed to the side. A disco ball is hanging. There's a trio of drag queens who are performing a song on a little stage. There is a row of tables off to one side where couples are drinking, people are talking, flirting, laughing, living, just existing in all their beauty, all their glory, all of their queerness, all of their I am here on display. And you've made your way to the bar where you sit. Drinks are brought to you by Mickey, who is the big bear of a man, bartender, hairy forearms, big beard, big hair. He's a very gentle man, except when he has to be otherwise. He knows you all by name. You see the heavy emerald colored curtains that have been drawn around the room, giving it a feeling of closeness as it dampens some of the music so you won't be heard outside. But it's so full of life in here as you all sit down and you see each other. You know each other. You've met here in this bar before. You're the only military members who regularly frequent this bar, however you found it. So you've bonded over that experience, the shared experience of being queer in the military. Maybe you thought you were the only ones. Maybe it felt like you were the only ones. But here you found people like you in your similar situation. And perhaps that's the most magical part of the whole thing. So I'd like to ask each of you one question about someone else in the group to establish your relationship to them. What you say is canon, so keep that in mind. So let's start with Michael. So Michael, what was your first conversation with Janice, and what did you bond over in that conversation?
Let's see. I'm gonna go with old Western movies.
Mm.
For whatever reason, they really clicked with both Janice and I. And we spent the first time we ran across each other at one of these as one of these lounges, we basically ended up just chatting for most of the night about classic Western movies, ne'er-do-wells, things like that. How fucking weird it is that a washed up B movie actor is now president, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And Janice, what hobby do you share with Thea?
Well, conversation, or maybe our first conversation at the lounge here, realized both of us like to kickbox and go out and, well, more boxing than kickboxing, but absolutely destroy the bag after, especially after certain days at work. And yeah, we've even trained a few times together, even though it's not in all convenient. We're not close. This is something we try and both do regularly, but a lot of times conversation just drifts to what happened at class, who showed up, what you managed to do, how long you managed to sustain some furious 3 strikes.
Marvelous. The kickboxing crew. All right. Thea, Hannah helped you out of a difficult situation. What was it?
We had to go into town to run a couple of errands, picking up a few things on our way, maybe a special treat to bring to celebrate Mike's birthday. one evening that we were all able to get together at the bar. So we were going out to pick up a small cake to bring to surprise him with. And we passed a storefront, one of the big windows of a clothing store, and there was this just stunning dress that called to me, and I had to stop and fawn over it just a little bit. And while we thought that we didn't really see anybody on our side of the street, as I kind of gushed over this, I wanted to have it so much to go into that store and try it on and mention that to Hannah. And we didn't realize that behind us, three rather large servicemen came up uh with started harassing me, very imposing, trying to be very intimidating and threatening to do more than just hurt me with words, but primarily with their fists. And Hannah stuck up for me, put herself right there in front, between them and me, and lied her ass off saying that it was for her, and basically threatened to take all three of them down to Hurt Town if they didn't back the hell off, or at least spread just the right kind of rumors to implicate them. If they were going to take us down, they were going to come down with us. So if we were going to go down, they were going to come down. They would go down with us, and somehow got them to back off just as a police car started to roll past the area. That seemed to put them off, and I will be forever grateful for that.
Good going, Hannah. So, Hannah, you're close to Thea based on this incident, but really Michael's your best friend out of the small group of you. Why is that?
Uh, he's low drama. He, he's dependable. I think he's willing to entertain my optimism, right? I think, if I'm like, this can go well, he's like, yeah, all right, that's fine. And in those ways, and in his sort of neatness, he reminds me of my brother, who I am not close to, and I wish I was. So, I would not insult him by saying, hey, I hang out with you because you're a substitute for my brother, but it's in the back there, and that's, warm feeling.
Wonderful. So the four of you friends have met here at the bar. There is gold glitter lightly floating along near the floor. Not surprising, considering you're in a bar full of drag queens, three of whom are performing. You see Poppy Cox, your friend, the drag queen, coming out of the back room. She's a Judy Garland impersonator most nights, but tonight she's wearing this 1950s style blue dress with white gloves up to her elbows, and she's got this beautiful blonde wig piled up high. She's waving at you, but doesn't stop to say hello, and Mickey waves back at her. And he looks at all of you and says, all right, wonderful to see you folks this evening. Party should be picking up here pretty soon. He laughs because the party has already picked up. What can I get you for?
Now, I would love one of your absolutely famous Mai Tais, and do not skimp on those shots. I saw how much ice you put in that last time. And do not forget my umbrella. I must have my umbrella tonight.
We've ordered more umbrellas just for you.
Oh, you are a sweetheart. Thank you.
Okay, Michael is exactly this kind of guy. Vodka martini, shaken, not stirred.
Somehow I knew you were going to order that, Michael. It's not like you order it every time you come in.
And yeah, I
Michael,
know that shaking it doesn't really matter, but still.
gotta stop shaking your martinis, Mike. I mean, serious. Slow gin fizz as always.
You got time for a Cosmo?
I've got time for you any time of night, Hannah. Is it gonna go with whatever snacks you've brought tonight? He's eyeing your large purse.
Yeah, I mean, is that all right? She opens it. It's just like Mars bar, pretzels. What do you need?
Well, if you got any cookies tonight, I wouldn't say no.
Oh, just a couple. And she pulls out these gigantic, like, novelty size cookies.
He winks at you, says, "Get your drinks coming right up. Snack away. Just don't let the other patrons, as usual, see what you brought with you, or they'll think my food's not any good."
I can't believe you get away with that every time, Hannah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have so much extra when I'm finished on shift that I just, I stuff it in the bag. So they're not gonna miss it, whatever. They don't know.
You are the true definition of bribery will get you everywhere, Hannah.
Everywhere, all the time. Never fails.
Did you bring my Three Musketeers? Is that in there too?
She's already handing it to you as you're asking.
Yes. God, I did this. This week was horrible. Takes off the wrapper and just starts munching.
A tall man in the tiniest, tightest white shorts known to humankind comes sauntering up, and he looks over at you, Michael, and he says, "Well, aren't you a tall drink of water? Sorry, folks. Couldn't help seeing you from across the bar."
I'm very flattered. Thank you. You're certainly making some unique fashion choices this evening yourself.
Gotta stand out.
Yeah, I get it.
You want to dance, fella?
I'm actually waiting for someone,
Oh,
but
shame.
I appreciate that. Would I be able to would I know if anyone else at the table would be interested in him? Can I offer somebody for a dance or be a good
Oh.
wingman?
Would anybody be interested? Hannah, obviously not. He's
Yeah.
tall. He's got curly dark hair, big dark eyes, and very tight shorts. And he's wearing a shirt that's got a deep V neck, open halfway down his chest.
I mean, Mikey, you know I'm taken, but I've cut tourniquets off people that are looser than them shorts. You've got to worry about blood flow there, if you know what I mean. You're gonna be okay. How do you
Oh.
dance in that?
I've got no problems with blood flow. He
We,
winks.
Mike,
we
he's
can
got
see
no-
that.
Got no problem with blood flow.
In fact, I think we can tell what religion he is. You're a good Jewish boy, aren't you? Or should we just call you Freddie and just call me Queen?
I like you. You want to dance?
I like me too. Let's dance.
And he laughs uproariously. Name's Eli. He grabs you by the hand and pulls you out onto the floor. Everyone's dancing very close. The dance floor is even pushing people even closer than normal in a dance floor because the space is so limited back here, but he doesn't seem to mind all that much.
Have you seen
Oh.
Eli before here? Like that's an imposing. I feel like
Yeah,
I remember.
you wouldn't forget somebody like that.
No, you haven't really seen Eli. But you don't know everybody who comes in and out of the bar, but he's definitely an imposing figure.
I do my best Studio 54 type moves and with Freddie, I mean Eli, they're on the dance floor and my tie in one hand and the jazz hands going in the other.
Mickey brings your drinks while Thea is off dancing with Eli and having a very good time by the looks of it. And he sets everything down, says, "Anything new with you folks?"
Not much right now. Just enjoying being here and letting my hair down. He says, pointing to his very official quarter-inch military haircut.
Yes, all that hair you've got takes a lot of letting down.
Mm.
Yeah, me too. And she kind of reaches up and takes out, she's got red hair and takes it out of her bun and shakes it out. And it's like the librarian thing, suddenly becoming the sexy librarian.
Mm-hmm.
Then she
Hannah,
like
you're gonna set the place on fire.
And you're never going to get that gold glitter out of that.
no,
Hannah,
no, that's true.
I was washing the shirt that I wore last time 3 times to get that out. That's is it. What's his name? Mickey? Mitch?
Mickey.
Mickey.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Mickey, I do have something. This will change your mind on science fiction. And I reach into my back pocket. I pull out this old, battered, just trade paperback. It's got a picture of like a white statue on the front, pink lettering. Like, this is that book I was telling you about. Came out in like the 70s. Left-Handed Darkness. Have you heard of this? I mean, you told me you don't like sci-fi ever, but this will change your mind. Have you ever read this? This is the one. This is the book I was telling you about. I slide it over. This is where I got the idea, or where I first sort of understood or learned that think about it differently. You know what I'm saying?
I don't like science fiction, Janice, but if it helped you, well, maybe it'll give me some ideas too.
Think you'll like it. I think you'll like. I think it'll change your mind about the whole genre. This ain't Asimov. This ain't any of that stuff.
I couldn't get through that, man.
Different.
Just 10 pages in, just talking about robots, and I just was falling asleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you and me. You and me. It's no classic Western, but I think you'll like it. And look at that. Ursula? What a name.
Great name. Ursula Le Guin?
Le Guin? I don't know. I've never met her. Him? Her? Ursula? Them? I've never met them.
I'll give it a read, Janice. Just for you. He takes the paperback and puts it under the bar carefully and nowhere near any of the bottles. Can't promise you I'll like it, but I'll read it.
That's the best I can ask for. I can promise you I'll like your slow gin, though. And I'll take a deep drink.
If you don't, you're banned. Hey, you, calm down. And all of a sudden you become aware that there's a little bit of a lull in the music as the songs are changed. And you hear 2 people yelling at each other. And you maybe sigh heavily as Mickey pulls away from the bar because you know Andy and Dave. Andy and Dave are a great couple most of the time, except when one of them gets his knickers in a twist and decides he's annoyed about something, and then starts poking at Dave, and then Dave gets mad at Andy, and then they start yelling at each other, and it just breaks up the whole vibe. I gotta go take care of this, guys. Andy, put that martini down. If you spill it on my floor, I swear to God. He marches off towards the 2 who are yelling at each other. And indeed, Andy is now standing up, holding a martini, very dangerously tilted in one hand as he's looking at Dave. And Dave is leaning back up against the couch with this kind of shit-eating grin of, are you really gonna do it? Are you really gonna do it on his face?
And Hannah like drains the Cosmo, which has to easily make up like 18% of her body by volume. And she just like in her San Antonio draws like, some people cannot hold their liquor.
Well, he's gonna be holding it in his face if Mickey doesn't get over there soon. So, what would you normally do on a night at the bar? You have plenty of hours. It's Saturday night. You don't have to be at work in the morning, so you have a little bit more freedom than when you come on Sundays. You can relax a bit. What does a normal night here at the Emerald Lounge look like for you?
I think for Michael, Michael is very though he has an outwardly bombastic personality, he's very, very careful at all times. He frequently sandbags it, just to kind of make sure that, one, that the others have a good time, and two, that somebody always kind of is keeping their head, so that if shit goes sideways, at least somebody's thinking clearly, or mostly clearly. He'll still have a few drinks and dance over the course of the night, but martinis are see-through, so nobody really notices when he goes to the bathroom and fills it up with water, or just
Excellent.
yeah, or has a standing arrangement to fill it up with bubbly from the tap.
Designated responsible person of the group, Michael Kowalski.
And no one ever asked him to do that. He just started doing it.
What about Janice? What does the night look like for them?
Well, I'm a people watcher, so I spend a fair amount of time rearranging my chair, making sure I have a good view of the small place, maybe arguing whether Klinger is a responsible and good character or a terrible, bad, stereotypical character. With Hannah, it's an old argument. Maybe I'm looking for someone to talk more about. Like, I'm a pop culture kind of person. I like this escapism. And so a lot of it is that I don't really dance too much, but I'm happy to stand up and sort of sway in a corner, which is almost even more obtrusive in a place like this, where no one is simply swaying in a corner, but I enjoy myself. But I'm also constantly scanning the faces of folks that are coming in, for new faces. And even after all this time here, this is a great place. It's so comfortable. It's so safe. It's still, when the door opens and the light gets a little bit brighter as someone comes in, I'm watching to make sure I don't recognize that new person's face. I'm still terrified of being found. But
Understandably.
I push all that down and have a great time. It's a 6-7 slow gin fizz night, especially if Hannah's got the kettle chips that I like in that giant bag.
Oh, we know Hannah's got the kettle chips.
Extra
Hannah's
crunchy.
got just about everything in that bag. It's very Mary Poppins bag. She always seems to have more snacks.
Yeah.
Hey,
I once,
Hannah?
for a joke, I once bought one of those collapsing magician's wands and stuck it in the bag. And when Janice asked for the chips, I said, well, it's behind here somewhere, and pulled it. It took me like a minute and a half to pull the whole. It was like 6.5 feet long when it was unfolded. Yeah,
Fabulous.
really funny.
What does the night look like for Thea? You dance with Eli. He's a great dancer, and he's having a very good time. But what does the rest of the night typically look like for you?
Well, definitely dancing. Thea is when she can just relax and be completely herself. Loves to dance, loves to maybe after a few of the Mai Tais or maybe tequila sunrises or her others. She may even join whatever act is up on stage and maybe help belt out, not horribly, but definitely not going to be making a career of. I mean, the occasional tune or two. She is an extrovert when she can, so she loves to chat with people, loves to interact, loves to have, toss a few back, sometimes a little bit too many, which is why she's very grateful that at least one of the group is semi-responsible, but she feels very comfortable after, with Hannah, and then Mike. I think she knows, Mike at some point changes out the gin or the vodka for something a little less inebriating.
Now, Poppy Cox keeps plying you with drinks because she is bound and determined that one of these nights she's going to get you up there singing with her in front of everybody. She has decided for some reason that you are the person she wants to do a duet with. So far, she has not managed to get you drunk enough. But she still keeps plying you with drinks and hoping it'll work one of these nights.
Oh yeah. And it probably would.
It probably will at some point.
Yeah.
What about Hannah? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Hannah normally is happy to kind of sit and throw snacks at people and chat with Janice and cheer for Mike. And she's been feeling a little bit weird tonight. She's been told no a lot today. She wanted to do something with Helena, and Helena was busy doing something. She wanted to try. This is going to sound stupid, but whatever. She wanted to try a new way of making the goddamn beans in the kitchen. And the CO said, nope, we have, rules and regs. Here. She's like, fine. So she's feeling just a little bit like, ugh. And so she's making eye contact with a couple of the girls around the place. She doesn't really know why, but she's doing it. And every couple of minutes, she kind of like half gets out of the seat and then sits back down and orders another drink.
Are you, what's going on, Hannah? Are you into,
What?
are you into them?
No, I mean that's silly. I'm with Helena. No, I'm just being silly. Just having fun.
I mean, you can dance.
Yeah, yeah.
I can dance. You want to go over there? We can dance.
Yeah. All right.
It's,
If I sit here,
no.
I'm gonna scream. Let's get up. Let's do something.
Yeah, I'm with Vanna. Yeah, I mean, we both have. We're not gonna. We're just gonna have some fun.
All right. Yeah. That's all it took. Didn't take much.
You get up and you dance, and you hear a loud Hannah dancing, and you see a petite figure in full leather daddy drag come marching over in your direction. This is Just in Time is the drag name. And he uses he, him in drag, comes marching up to you, puts his hands on his hips, and is watching both of you dancing. And he starts shaking his hips and flicking his leather jacket around. He's tilting his hat and says, I never thought I would see the day. Ladies, gentlemen, and others, we have Hannah Mills on the dance floor.
She kind of inartfully wiggles her hair around and says, mark it down, mark it down. This is a day to remember.
End of times. End of times. Poppy
We
starts
finally
clapping
got
in the
you
back.
here. Yay. And it's like dancing over towards Hannah, and I'm like blocking her and making sure that, flanking, making sure she can't sneak off of the dance floor now that she's been called out. About time. Come on.
I'll sneak a glance over to see what Mike's doing.
See what?
See what Michael Kowalski's doing while the three of us have now gotten engaged on the dance floor.
Right now, looks like he's definitely like enjoying the fact that you guys are out there. But he keeps checking the door and probably a pocket watch as well. Seems like he's waiting for somebody.
I'll give you that friendly wave over, but not too vigorous. I don't really care. It's not a pressure. It's just a, you're welcome. And then I'll turn back to Hannah and eat some more chips.
He'll drift over for a song or two. He knows that you guys like to dance. He's not much of a dancer. One thing that you've kind of figured out about Kowalski is you've kind of cracked his exterior. He's actually pretty shy overall. But it's easy to have bravado in an environment where you're basically acting all the time, at least for him. But yeah, he'll come over and join you for, well, he's a little bit awkward at dancing, but he is enthusiastic. So he'll come over for a couple and join you guys in the vibes for a few songs before he drifts back.
You come over and dance a little bit, and Poppy Cox comes up to you and plants her hands firmly on your hips and says, Michael, darling, not like that. Like this, darling. And she starts manipulating your hips a little bit. She's gotten permission from you before for when you're dancing, so that this is consensual.
Yep.
But she's a very hands-on sort of drag queen. And says, darling, darling, you gorgeous tall drink of water. No, 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 no. You'll never catch the gentlemen's like that.
I already caught the one that I wanted, Poppy. But please,
And do you want to keep him?
you know what? That's a good point. Why don't you show me what I'm doing wrong?
And she proceeds to give you a dancing lesson, showing you with exaggerated motions how you're supposed to move your hips to the song. The night draws on. Everyone starts wearing down a little bit. It's getting close to 2 o'clock in the morning. It has been a wonderful night full of queer joy, of visibility. You are seen. You are noticed for who you are, not who you have to be, not who you are told to be. You exist here in a way you don't exist in other places. And the feeling of being around so many others who feel the same is intoxicating, even more so than your Mai Tais and your gins and your Cosmos and your sparkling waters. It's magical. And it lends a bit of something to the air when Poppy takes the stage for her legendary performance. She does this every night that you come. She performs Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Late in the night when everyone's half asleep with alcohol and with fun and joy and just tired out, she takes the stage and she sits on a stool. She doesn't do any of the lip sync hijinks that she might perform during the rest of the night. She sings in her own voice, this beautiful, pleasant, surprisingly high tenor. And it soothes you, this song. And she sings Somewhere Over the Rainbow. People sing along, sway a little bit. Someone tries to sing along very drunkenly and then gets immediately shut up by the disapproving glares of everyone around them. And then as Poppy hits the last notes of a Why Can't I, a bell rings. Loud, sharp, unpleasant. And everyone starts yelling and scrambling because what that bell means is that the cops are here. You've never heard this bell rung before. Everyone knows it's there. Everyone knows its purpose. You've hoped against hope that it would never be needed. But it cuts through those beautiful high notes just as Poppy hits them, and the panic begins. People start running towards the side entrance, piling over each other. If you're caught here, if you are found here, everything is over. There's panic, there's fear in the air. Mickey is running up towards the door to try and buffer the door long enough to let people get out. People are crying. Someone started screaming for a moment before being hushed down. They're crying, being led out the door. People are hurriedly changing clothes, trying to get back to the clothes of their assigned gender so that if they are caught outside, maybe it won't be as bad. Couples are dropping hands, moving to mix with other groups so it doesn't look like they came in together. It is pure panic in the air. And Poppy comes running up to the four of you out in the middle of the dance floor. With me, out the side entrance. I can take you out the back way. Thank you for your service. You have the most to lose out of any of us. Please, follow me. You'll get stuck if you go out that way. They'll get you.
Oh, let's go. following Poppy. 100% terrified.
Yep, this is worst fear territory. Although Michael's gonna stay towards the back and make sure he's the last one through the door.
And Hannah and Michael have done this before in a cuter, terrifying way. But she's like, no, you gotta go. Like before it was you go first, but she's like, I gotta help them. Michael, you go.
I will. Thea follows Poppy without a hesitation. They both are in a similar position where they are having to scramble to remove themselves and find a way to present the way that society wants them to. And it's hard. It's hard.
Poppy grabs your hand, Hannah. Come on, Hannah. We've got to go. They'll be fine. Come on.
And she's like, no, Poppy, no. But she's not that big.
Hannah, come on.
And
Come
she's
on.
not that strong.
They'll throw us all out. They'll track us all down and they'll throw us all out. This will be all of our careers across all the different services. Come on.
Yeah, all right.
Let's go around.
Yeah, Hannah, go. It's okay.
Right.
Go.
And Poppy ushers you all through to the small dressing room where the queens and kings and other drag majesties get ready for their performances for the evening. There's scattered dresses across the floor. There's a clothing rack with some garments, a suit and sequin dresses and things hung on it, makeup scattered everywhere. And that gold glitter is much stronger in here. You can feel it almost coating you. You just think you're never going to get this out of your clothes as you're running through here, but that's the least of your concerns at the moment. As you are pulled through, Poppy slams the door to the dressing room behind her, and she runs ahead and opens a smaller door. Says, "This goes out to the side entrance. It's where they take out the trash and everything. This is how we get in at night. No one's going to notice. Come on, come on. No one
Is
will
there a
see
way
you."
to jam a chair maybe against that door real fast before heading out? I just make it a little bit harder.
Absolutely. You can definitely jam a chair against the door.
Do that.
All right.
And out.
Mhm.
So
You
open the door and kind of take just a little bit just to kind of peek, just to listen, to see if there's any movement, just to be sure that hopefully there's none of the cops are out there.
You don't hear the sirens. You don't hear people running this direction. It should be okay. And Poppy's just like, go, 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 and pushes everybody through the door. And she slams the door behind you as she comes with you. And you find yourselves in darkness. You're not on the street. Could have sworn you saw it, Thea, when you looked out just a second ago. The back alley with the trash bins outside and the one street lamp that keeps flickering and no one ever bothers to replace it, and the smell of the rubbish and the heavy humidity of the night. But that's all gone. It's dark. It's cold. There's these shimmering gold flecks of glitter swirling around you in a lazy, delicate haze, just floating in the air. And then the flecks suddenly drop. And you find yourself standing on a boat. You are surrounded by a still, dark body of water. The only light you have for the moment are these golden flecks dancing in a haze over the water. You turn, thunderstruck. You see a dark purplish sky, 3 pale moons hanging above you. Yes, it's not the cosmos. There's 3 of them. Everything around you is a shifting array of colors that are unfamiliar, familiar, unfamiliar again, bright, iridescent, lit by the pale glow of the moons and these beautiful golden flecks flickering across the water. And you have no idea where you are. And I'll take that sanity roll from you, please.
The 12 under 60.
Okay.
52 over 50.
Oops.
14 under 50.
Okay.
88 over 50. You're not playing Delta Green rolls, are you? It's just a normal.
Luckily for
failure.
you, it's just a normal sanity loss. So the 2 of you who passed your sanity rolls lose 2 points of SAN. You can blame Doorward for this. He's the one who told me I needed to make it more brutal when you come somewhere else. All right. So Janice, you lose 4 points of sanity. And is it Michael? Were you the... Yeah. So you also lose 4 points of sanity. As you suddenly realize, we're not in Kansas anymore. What do you do?
I think Thea will shake her head and kind of very carefully rub her eyes as not to disturb her mascara. And man, I should not have sniffed those poppers that Freddie gave me. Oof. Anybody else get some maybe not so great drugs there in the bar?
Not
Man.
tonight. I'm gonna look around. Is Poppy with us?
Poppy is standing stock still, staring up at the moon. Her wig is tilted slightly to one side. She'd been in the process of trying to take it off, but hadn't quite gotten there when she went through the door. One hand is up against the golden tower of hair, and she's staring in abject horror, her jaw open.
Does she have a catchphrase or a particular thing that she does?
Yeah, she is known for flicking her wrist and saying, "Let's go over my rainbow, honey."
I'm gonna go over. I'll adjust the wig on her head and say, "How's your rainbow doing, Poppy?" Just to try and give her something else to focus on.
Ugh. It ain't there. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
because I'm scared or because of all the water around, but it ain't there.
Anybody got some ruby slippers?
Everyone's
No.
seeing this boat, right? You're all seeing this boat.
Yeah, got a
Not
boat.
me.
I'm not really super concerned about the boat right now, Janice.
How can you not be concerned about a boat that we went out the lounge? Yep.
And
The moons, the
yeah,
boat.
Hannah kind of sidles up and is like to kind of be gently like, all right, Janice, tell me about the boat. Tell me about the boat now.
I'm looking at. You don't see it?
No,
If
I
you can
do, but come on, I'm Army, not Navy. I don't know from boats.
Somebody probably just slipped something into the drinks tonight. That's just a weird trip we're all on.
It didn't work that way.
If we just
It doesn't
write
work that
it
way.
out.
We don't all have the exact same trip. We don't all see the same stuff on a trip, Thea. Does this feel like a real boat? I mean, yeah, we're like Hannah said, we're Navy folks. Does it feel like
It's
A real boat?
rocking gently as the water moves. But as you're talking to each other and panicking, and Michael, especially as you go up and you shake Poppy and adjust her wig, you realize you've all got these threads extending out of your bodies, these beautiful, shimmering, multicolored threads. You can barely see them as you look straight at them. They're sort of there and then not there. They're just sort of rising up towards the heavens, just these beautiful threads extending out of your limbs.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry, Thea. I think you're right. This is some mushroom shit. Are you kidding me?
Mushroom. I think somebody microdosed us. Well, maybe not micro. Come on. What else could it be? We He slipped something into the drinks, thought he'd have a good laugh, and then
Mickey would
sets
never
off
do
the bar.
no, Mickey would never do that. Maybe someone
Well,
else. See what
I
you know,
know
we
it's
did okay.
they
streams,
said they set us up. They drug us
but
and
now
then they
I'm
round us
free.
all up. It's all part of a setup. Let's just hope
There
that
are no
we're probably
strings
curled up in the
on
alley somewhere. God, I hope so.
me. I had strings, but now I'm free. There are no strings on me.
oh, there are strings, honey. There are certainly
No,
strings.
I know he's just trying to anchor
Oh,
himself.
that's Poppy
Oh.
responding to your singing. There are strings, honey. What the?
They're kind of gorgeous, actually.
Well,
I'm gonna
so
go
are
see if
you. But
there's anyone piloting this boat.
Mhm.
How big is this thing? Is it
Okay,
like a
so you realize you're on the prow of this ship. Ship, boat, you're not sure, but you start making your way towards what looks like a hutch of some kind, maybe for steering apparatus, maybe. But you don't see anyone else on this boat so far, and it's unfamiliar in a lot of ways. It's very boxy, and the angles don't seem to quite work. It makes your head hurt just looking at them and trying to figure out how does that bit go into there. And the hutch looks, at one moment it looks massive, towering over you, like you could barely see the top of it, and then the next moment it's about average height, then it's close to you, then it's far away from you. It's just your head is spinning as you approach this hutch.
Anna, you seem real calm with all this. What does this thing give you a headache? Just look at that.
Well, yeah, but in the grand tradition of all army people, when I'm on a boat, all this shit is your problem.
Look at this thing. It's getting big and small and big and small. I mean, look at
Yeah,
that. Do you
you'll figure it out. It's not my concern. I'm gonna sit here
oh,
and be sick till you're done.
oh man, you really are leaning into this army shit. Okay. All right. Close one eye and try to get closer. 'Cause someone's
Never
Closing
got
one
send
to.
eye helps a
army
bit.
to do something Navy.
Closing one eye helps a little bit, but you still feel very uncomfortable as you approach. You get up close to it and you realize, no, it's normal size. It's just a bit taller than, say, Michael. Okay. It's small. It's not a huge cabin by any means, and it's open in the back. You can just walk right in.
I'm going to close both my eyes when I get close enough and just
Mhm.
try and feel the walls and feel my way through. Very, very distracted by this nauseous feeling that's rising, which I recognize as seasickness, something I haven't had on a boat or ship for
Mhm.
about 15 years.
You close your eyes, you feel your way in very, very carefully, and you gently bump into what feels like a steering wheel of some kind.
Oh, thank goodness. I'll call out, "Ahoy, the ship! Who's captain?" Which is, the perfect Navy thing it's in regulations, I'm sure.
I'm sure. There's no answer. It's quiet and still.
There's a wheel. And I'll look around, see if there's any markings, anything that would be
Mhm.
familiar in some way?
There's a lot of electronical doodads scattered across this, but you don't recognize any of them. There's little lights and buttons and levers, and there's a panel that slides open when you look at it and then closes when you look away, but you don't know what that's for. And even the wheel itself, it doesn't look like it could be operated with two hands. This is meant for either multiple people or someone with more than two hands, but that's not possible, so we're not going to think about that.
I think I will, being a mechanic from the Navy, I think I'd have a better handle on some of this. So I will follow behind and see what I can see to make sense of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
This LSD fever dream trip.
You do find, as you're walking in with your eyes completely open, you do see there's long poles of some kind of wood, but this strange orangish color. At least you think it's orange. Your brain says orange when you look at it, but is it? You're not quite sure. But there's these long poles. There's what looks like a map tacked up to one side, maybe a map, but a map's not going to be super useful when you don't know where the hell you are, but at least there is one. So someone had to have made that, right? Uh, but you see this weird assemblage of knobs and dials and all sorts of things, and could could you give me a hard intelligence roll to see if you could try and figure out some of it?
I can try. But that's all we can all do, right? We can only
Mhm.
try. And unfortunately, that is not going to make it. So that is a 54 over 30 for the hard. So
The best thing you can think of is the word alien. It is so unfamiliar. It is so foreign to you. And that plus the presence of the three moons and Janice always talking about their sci-fi novels makes you think the word alien. And that is
this is,
mhm,
go ahead.
Rena,
that is all you can think of.
do the controls remind me more of like the controls on an airplane than those on a ship?
The assemblage does look a little familiar in some ways, just
Okay.
the way it's set up. But it's all so odd to you. You could give me a hard piloting roll. I
Okay.
will allow that.
So this is what it's like to ride on a ship put together by Dolly.
29 under 30 for the
Ooh,
hard.
okay. So you take a look at it, and Thea's a mechanic. She doesn't pilot things, so it's understandable that even though she knows things about boats, she might not be able to put things into context. But you are more familiar with, yes, a cockpit, not a boat, but you're able to figure out a few things for navigation, and that must be for navigation there, and that's got to be to get us going, I think, because based on where everything is laid out, that would make the most sense. And you're able to get a few things going here and there, and the boat slowly churns to life.
Cool. And I'll explain this out loud to the others as I'm kind of working through it. Like the relative position of this orb to this one seems to be adjusting speed. This might be the rudder. It's where an aileron would be on a normal in a normal situation, but yada yada yada, on and on until I finally just stop talking because I'm run out of things to say.
Oski, you're just talking all about airplanes. This is a boat, right? You, things you're saying make it sound more like it's one of your planes.
I don't know how to make it go up and down, but I think it might be able to, maybe. It's
I
just
can tell you how
the
to make it go up and down. Poppy mutters in the background.
Poppy, not now. Although that was very funny. Well done.
I'm trying my best over here in difficult circumstances.
I get it. I get it.
The boat starts moving slowly. You can't quite figure out how to make it go faster, but then maybe you don't necessarily want it to. You don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going, but it is movement. And after a few minutes, you start to see an unfamiliar horizon ahead of you. And then a bit of shoreline comes into view. Everything's still kind of dark. It's still hard to see, but there's trees. There's trees of some kind. That's got to be good, right? The gold flecks dance along the water alongside your boat. Not leading, not following, just existing.
And there's nothing in the water. There's no light in the water. There's no bioluminescence. There's nothing to help navigate in any way. This is just blind. We hope we're not going to hit a sandbar kind of
Correct.
movement.
You
I'll
can't
brace
quite.
myself
Mhm.
and tell people, hey, we should brace because we can't see where we're going. We might hit something.
You
I'm
brace.
gonna go. I'm
Mhm.
gonna go check the back of the boat. I want to
Alright.
go towards the back. I want to take a look to see if the propellers are churning anything up, if the engines are dredging anything towards the surface.
There's no propellers.
The
And
stern.
come to think of it, you can't hear the hum of an engine or anything. You're not quite sure what's making this boat move at all. But as you move towards the back of the boat, and it takes longer than you would expect based on spatially the distance between the back of the boat and the hutch with the controlling apparatus. But you make it to the back of the boat and you look into the water. The shoreline's approaching up ahead. You can't see much back from where you've come. It's just open water. The flecks have disappeared. They followed your ship, so they're no longer dancing over the back part of the water that you came from, so you can't see much there. But you can give me a spot hidden.
Oh, that is a 13, which trying to do math here. I'm gonna spend those four points of luck and make that an extreme success.
Okay. You look into the water, trying to see if engines are churning up anything, even though you can't hear the engines. And you see something rippling in the water. And you realize something is moving towards your boat very, very, very fast.
So something solid is coming up from
Something's
behind.
moving through the water towards your boat very quickly.
Can I, since the water's not being churned up by propeller or other mechanical means, it would be fairly, well, it'd be more still than,
Mhm.
I mean, it's not like perfectly still, but it's more still than it would be otherwise. Is it possible to get an idea of how big this, whatever it is?
Big,
Big.
very big.
That's not good. That's, um, all right. I'm going to turn around and after taking a few steps back, I'm going to remove, I don't want to do this, but I am going to very quickly slip off my heels because I can move faster without them. And I am going to run towards the front where everyone else is. As once I can see, I get a fairly decent gauge on how fast this, whatever it is coming towards us. And I'm gonna head up and just be yelling, try to get their attention. There's something coming. There's something coming. Hold on. There's something coming. And I'm just racing back towards the front of the boat, towards the prow.
Walski, can this thing go faster? Thea's not one to take her heels off.
Fuck, I don't know.
There's
I'll-
something coming.
I'll take a look, see if there's anything that we can change direction or speed up, or I don't know if there's any like defenses on this thing.
Give me a group luck roll.
Ooh.
So that's going to be Heather, I think, because she spent some luck.
Yeah,
What's your luck,
dude.
Heather?
I'm at 41 currently.
Yep, so that would be you.
Sorry, I'm just going to apologize in advance.
You'll pass. It'll be fine. It'll be totally fine.
But is that what you really want, Rina? Do you really want it to be fine?
I don't know.
Do we? Oh my gosh. Oh, that's a 3.
Excellent. So
Wow.
you all have a moment to look back and see this thing coming, and you are going to realize that you do not have time to figure out changing direction, speed, any of that. You need to brace for impact right now. And that luck roll is going to allow you to not take damage when something ripples out of the water and these massive black tendrils, thin and whip-like, rise up out of the water, slam into the boat, and start wrapping themselves around the boat.
Hannah's gonna. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, since running up, I probably have just enough time to grab onto a railing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
With that luck roll, yes, you do. So none of you take any damage, but the ship is shaken somewhat as these tendrils latch onto the boat. And now you can all see from where you are, because the boat is flat, essentially. Looking back, you can see the cap of some kind of jellyfish-like creature, 30 or more feet wide. Its tendrils lashing themselves around the boat. And then you all see more tendrils come whipping out towards you. And I need you all to make me hard dex rolls.
Ooh. Oh.
Gonna roll for Poppy. Oh, she fine.
25 under 70 for Hannah.
Okay, so Hannah goes rolling out of the way as she sees one of these tendrils come whipping towards her.
79 over 35.
Oh, crap.
91 over 20.
Oh,
Not a
okay.
fumble.
Well,
26 under 35.
nice.
All right, so Janice also goes rolling the other direction as they see these tendrils come whipping towards them. Poppy also jumps out of the way. Somehow, in those 6-inch stilettos of hers, she manages to jump out of the way. You're not sure how, but it's very impressive. But Thea and Michael, You each feel this cold emptiness as this tendril wraps around you. You feel sudden loss and ache and emptiness and despair filling you as these tendrils wrap around you. And I need you to each roll me a d6.
2.
4.
Okay? Lose that much permanent POW.
Yep.
Michael, tell me about the last time you felt hopeless about being yourself and being in the military. Those two things intersected in a way that hurt you.
I think it was the night after we basically I'm basically bullied the other person into not revealing my secret. I think he felt incredibly bad about that, as well as just having a moment kind of alone out at the edge of the base, having a cigarette after that happened, like looking up into the stars and wondering where he had how he had let it get that bad. And for the first night, he would remember not seeing the stars themselves, but really focusing on the void between them.
Thea, what's your earliest memory of feeling hopelessness or despair over who you are?
There was a moment, though her father never said anything verbally. There was a moment when he walked in when Thea was probably were helping, get laundry together, and was holding up one of her mom's blouses that was probably being packed up and put away because mom had passed. And dad walked in and saw Thea holding it up, and the look in his eyes as he looked at Thea, it was like it was at that moment her father disconnected himself from Thea. And it was palatable. It was visceral. It was as if someone could have easily, just taken a sharp dagger and just cut that bond, because Thea could see it in his eyes that he, for that one moment, probably actually saw her for who she was, and to say was disappointed, like saw her, and then rejected her all in just one look. Father went and went to the kitchen without a word, probably grabbed a beer, and Thea put away mom's clothes back into the box, back into whatever storage it was, and never dared to take them out again.
You feel like you did those nights, both of you, as these tendrils wrap around you. You are filled with those memories and that feeling of loss, that feeling of losing someone else or yourself. A piece of you overwhelms you, and you struggle, but the despair is there. And you realize you've been running from that despair, but it's never really been completely gone, has it? Janice and Hannah, you see these tendrils wrap around Michael and Thea, and you see their faces go blank.
Yeah, I think it's time for some army shit.
Yep.
I'm gonna run over towards Thea and try and help.
Okay. How are you helping?
I have to say it. I don't want to say it because then it's helping the only way you can help, by trying to put my hands, my bare hands, my bare palms on the tentacles that are holding Thea, and pulling them off and trying to pull Thea away.
Okay, give me a power roll.
32. Oh, pretty 32 under 50.
You fight this feeling of helplessness, this feeling of despair. And as it tries to wash over you, you realize what Thea is feeling right now. You recognize this feeling on her face. And you know what this thing is doing to her. But you fight it off from yourself.
It's pretty motivating too. It's really gonna. I don't have anything. Too bad I don't have a Bowie knife or something nasty, because Hannah, you gotta get these things off. It's sucking the life out of. It's making them just help.
Yeah. Wish I could say that she carries a knife with her, but she doesn't anymore because she hasn't needed one in a while. But she does have a little flashlight, a little pocket flashlight. And she'll kind of click it on, stick it in her mouth. Grabs. She's got this like big chunky plastic jewelry, this like jade green plastic jewelry. Like the bracelet,
Yeah.
and grabs it. It's open at the bottom, so she snaps it in half to kind of like get a sharp end of it, and runs over and tries to stick the sharp end into a tentacle that's harassing Michael.
Okay, you're able to do that. Not a problem. It's a tendril that's just wrapped around him. And it's a jellyfish's tentacle. So you just stab it in there and it pops.
Okay,
And Michael, you
satisfying.
stagger forward. More tendrils are lashing out towards both of you, but Michael, you've been released from the moment. You can shake off some of that feeling of despair, but the memory still lingers with you.
Fuck. He'll sort of shake his head and like fish in his pockets. He's got a couple of doodads on him. The only two things he can think of at this point to reach for are his he has a little pocket knife and a pocket flashlight. So he's gonna try and turn that on and see what's going on a little bit better.
You see this mass of tendrils writhing around. The boat is starting to be squeezed by the larger tendrils that have wrapped around it. It is squeezing tighter and tighter and tighter, and these others are lashing out towards you. One's trying to grab back onto you, one's trying to grab Hannah, one's trying to grab Poppy, who is running in her stocking feet over towards Thea and Janice. And they are waving wild, these black, inky tendrils, the deepest, darkest black you've ever seen in your life.
Janice, you're a boat person. Does this thing have any lifeboats?
We've got arms and legs, darlings. We can swim.
If it had lifeboats, Kowalski, it'd be called a ship. And I'm going to run towards the front and I'm going to dive off and we got to swim and start swimming towards that island that in the darkness was we were able to see it. So it must be really close. Just really close. A minute away, probably.
Not that far. It's totally fine.
All right. So are people diving off the boat?
Well,
People
Poppy,
might be.
Poppy grabs one of her shoes. She's now in her stocking feet. Grabs one of the stilettos and pops it into the tendril that's holding you, Thea. And it releases. And she's waving it in the air, like, "Come at me! I fucking dare you! I have heels and I know how to use them."
Oh.
Thea, darling, we'll have time to have our feelings in a minute. We need to go now.
Okay. She kind of makes sure that the wig is straightened on her head and yes, let's go. Let's be done with this.
You all leap overboard.
Yeah. There's
We'll
Hannah.
follow the group.
Let's add a very long and jumps over.
If it had lifeboats, it would be if it had lifeboats, it would be a ship. Stupid fucking Navy shit.
Stupid fucking Navy shit is right.
And Kowalski goes overboard.
You leap overboard. You swim. Tendrils are racing after you, and just for a moment. And then you get out of range. They seem more interested now in the boat. They pull back. You stagger onto the shore. You see the boat suddenly crack in half under the massive pressure and be dragged under the surface of the water. Suddenly still, calm, and quiet, as if the boat had never been there in the first place. And you find yourselves on dry land, whatever land that might be. The moons are setting in the east. You think it's the east. It's where traditionally east would be, but that's where they are at the moment. Strange sounds from animals and insects you don't know float through the air. The gold, letters along the sand. And I think that's a wonderful place to take a short break.
Cool. All right, we will be back in a few minutes, everybody. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll see you soon. Sure, in Twitch. Yep. One sec. Yeah, I know. Gotcha. Sorry. Technical difficulties, everyone. Bridget's going to reset her router, and we'll be right back.